in culture that the world needs to know about. And so we believe in helping to support those types of programs and activities. And so really, I feel like I get to do some of the most fun things in the embassy. And then also finally, we do this type of cooperation through programs like English language, and working to develop the capacity of a country of Iraq to expand the use and the teaching of English language. We believe that this is a 21st century skill that helps to advance our partners economically and to provide opportunities both within Iraq and outside of Iraq for Iraqi youth, Iraqi professionals. And so working with and developing programs that focus on English language, which we do through Anmar, who represents our English language office, we believe that we're really able to make an impact in the professional and economic development of Iraqis and to deepen these cultural ties between the United States and Iraq. So it's with this reason that I'm very pleased and want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has worked on making this program possible, specifically Anmar Al-Babaka, our English language program specialist, who has really coordinated and proposed putting this program together. As Anmar said, I really want to thank Dr. Sahira Salman and her long and unwavering support and cooperation with us. It's made a huge difference in working with the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. And we really thank you both for being here and also for your continued cooperation. And obviously, last but not least, I'd like to thank Dr. Kathleen McGovern, who is our English language specialist. The United States has several English language programs. One is called Access, which helps to provide opportunities for Iraqi youth. But the specialist program brings it up a level to your level, to professional teachers using English language or teaching English language, and helping to create environments for us to share expertise from people like Kathleen, who can share their experience in this situation focused on remote learning, which has obviously been something that we've all been dealing with over the last year. But Kathleen comes with deep experience, as she noted to us recently, at least as early as 2014, working in remote learning. So we have a lot to learn from her, and we're very happy that she can join us today. We do believe, once again, that this is a critical skill and it's necessary for the 21st century, for the workers and for the citizens of the 21st century, and for developing stronger global citizens. So thank you all for your participation, each of you that are on this call, each of you that are going to participate in this training. Thank you, Kathleen, and I look forward to seeing the results of this wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate all the support that you give us, like for me, for the specialists, for the participants. Now we will go with the Mohiza remarks through Dr. Sahira Salman, please.
Good evening. I would like to welcome all the attendants and thank the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and Mr. Daniel Stewart, the cultural attaché, and his staff for their continuous support to Iraqi universities through the programs they implement, like the VAP and English language learning and teaching programs, and many other programs that they implement through IREX and other organizations working in Iraq that concentrate on capacity building to the students and the teaching staff in Iraq. This is, of course, this is not the first time that the Iraqi English language teaching staff participate in such programs. In 2019, the universities benefited from the English language TOTs, which is also implemented through IREX. It was a project, and a number of English language teaching staff were trained in Erbil on the methods of teaching the headway, the book that is being taught to the undergraduate and postgraduate students at Iraqi universities. Uh, of course, today we are happy to start the English language specialist program to work with Dr. Kathleen and start this program, which is very important, especially with COVID-19 pandemic crisis, since all the education in Iraq is now based on the e-learning. There is an urgent need that the faculty have more training on the online methods of teaching English. I hope that the nominated staff would get the full benefit from this program and attend all the sessions regularly. Thank you again for everybody and wish you much of luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahira. We really appreciate all the support that you already gave us and nominating the great Iraqi staff. Now we have the specialist remarks from Dr. Kathleen, and then we will have the introduction and the overview for the workshop.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this program with you. It is really a deep honor, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And thank you to you, Anmar, for all of your help, to you, Mr. Stewart, and to Dr. Sahira as well. And definitely not least, thanks to all 30 of you who have put aside time on your weekends to sit at the computer for even longer than I'm sure you already do, to join me to learn together about teaching TESOL classes online. So I'm very, very grateful. Now, yesterday I noticed an influx of people looking at my LinkedIn profile, and I thought, well, I bet a lot of these people are in this workshop on Friday. And then I realized I don't think I've updated that in 10 years. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and why am I your TESOL specialist in online instruction. First, let me say I looked at your surveys. So thank you all so much for completing the survey I sent out about your experience with online learning and teaching. And it seems like we have a really diverse group of attendees with us, diverse regionally, and diverse in terms of levels of comfort and experience with online teaching. Some people said, oh, I love it. This is not a problem for me. And some people said, well, frankly, I don't think anything really is going right with it. And I want to assure you that I have come to online teaching over a long journey. And where I started was at a place where I was not a lover of technology. I preferred meeting people in person, making the personal connections that you can when you share space in a room together. But over time, I've really come to appreciate that those connections and that learning is really possible online as well. And I hope to be able to share that with you. I started my career as a communicative language teacher, and we're going to be looking at communicative approaches in an online environment. So this is my brief biography. I started as a communicative language teacher in Morocco, so salamu alaikum, but my apologies, I do not speak Arabic as well as I wish I did. I taught there for 1.5 years, and then I returned to Boston, where I'm originally from, and I worked at a private language school in Boston, the Boston Academy of English, which also had a TEFL program. And that's a program that certifies people to teach English to adults across the globe. And I worked in this program for quite a while, becoming a communicative language teacher trainer, and then directing that program, and then eventually going on to direct or assistant direct the whole academy. But I left our academy in order to switch to the nonprofit sector. And I had a wonderful opportunity working in a nonprofit to work with adult immigrants to the United States. And there I brought together my background in both teaching language and in doing drama. I have a theater background as well. And with my students, we collaboratively created plays in English, the language they were trying to use, to perform in the community, both to learn language and to educate the community about the experiences of immigrants in the United States, who often face quite a bit of discrimination. Now, what does this have to do with online learning, you might ask? Well, when I began my PhD at the University of Georgia about 6 years ago, I transitioned to teaching entirely online. Prior to that, I had studied my portions of my master's in applied linguistics online, and I worked in an online only teacher education program for communicative approaches. But when I started working in higher education, suddenly all of the interaction that I had with my students was 100% online. And we used different platforms. And regardless, even though this huge change had happened for me personally, when the pandemic hit, everything changed even more, because all of a sudden, everyone was doing everything that they could only via the computer. At that time, I happened to be co-authoring a book with Melissa Kahneman-Taylor on teaching language through drama. And we shifted the focus of our book to include a chapter on how to do interactive learning with languages on the internet. And we're also in the midst of a project on research project on interactive digital learning during COVID-19. Now, all of that being said, I am certainly not a specialist in your context. Each teacher is their own specialist. You know your students, you know your institution, you know your needs. And so rather than thinking of these as lectures, I would really look forward to you viewing these as opportunities for us all to learn together. And I look forward very much to learning with and from you as well. And Anmar, shall I speak about the structure and organization of the workshops?
Yes, Kathleen, you can go ahead, then we can have a break for like 2-3 minutes to like Daniel and Dr. Sahira, they can sign off.
All right, wonderful. So
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to briefly share my screen so that you can see the overview of what we have planned today. Excuse me. Oops. Okay, can you see my slides? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so you're in an English language program sponsored by the US Department of State in collaboration with the Iraqi embassy, the American embassy in Iraq. And the name of our program is called Online Communicative Approaches for Iraqi University Faculty and Trainers. It begins today and will finish on April 24th, and it will be held entirely online. We'll mostly be meeting via Zoom, but as you know, I've developed a WhatsApp group, and I have a couple of other platforms that I'll be asking us to use so that we can practice on them and then apply to our own contexts over the course of our 6 weeks together. Now, today, we've gotten through the first 4 points in our agenda already. We've met everyone involved. We've had the welcome ceremonies, and we're on number 5, the introduction and overview of the workshop. Next, what we are going to ask you to do is to introduce yourselves, and then we'll do an interactive brainstorm of digital language instruction. So challenges and affordances. We'll have a brief wrap up and questions. And this workshop, as well as all of the others, are going to be structured interactively. And in this first weekend, our theme will be getting to know each other, getting to know your online education context and situation. And the future workshops will be largely developed based on what we discussed this weekend. So please be open and honest in your responses to the brainstorm, because that will help us plan. What do we need to work on together? What will be the most useful for you? And finally, the objectives for this workshop, meaning the entire 6 weeks, are that attendees will be able to conduct their online classes in English using communicative language teaching methodology, or they will be able to train future teachers to conduct their language courses online, and to create meaningful and lasting connections among participants and the workshop leader. And I really look forward to this aspect of our time together. If I were there in person, of course, we could have coffee during the breaks, or, we would have a little bit more time to socialize. But I really hope that, I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. I'm really hopeful that you will forge connections with one another and also with me. And in some of the online platforms that I've created and that I'll share with you over the next 6 weeks, I'm trying to create a space where we can all be in touch and really learn together. So thank you so much. And Anmar, I turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kathleen. I would say now we can have a break for like 2-3 minutes, then everyone could get back, or at least you can turn your camera off, getting their waters, then get back. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, Dr. Sahira. I really appreciate your attendance and joining us today morning. And everyone with the attendees, if you have any questions, please go ahead and you can ask Dr. Kathleen, or you can come to me and I will be very welcome to answer whatever technical issues that you have. I really thank you so much, and I wish you very good luck with the workshop.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sahira. Take care. It's good to see you, and all of the participants. Have a great time. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Kathleen. Take care.
For everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you to those who've asked some questions in the chat. Now, one of the questions has to do with our schedule, and the other has to do with joining our WhatsApp group. I will paste the WhatsApp group link in the chat in a second. But before we get started on our interactive brainstorm, I would like to share a poll with you. So I'm going to display the poll and give you just a couple of minutes to respond. It should pop up on your screen. You can answer, press submit, and then I will be able to share the results with you. Okay, it looks like everyone has responded. And here you should be able to see the results. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the results. Wonderful, thank you. All right, so we have a pretty big mix. So to those who haven't joined our WhatsApp group, my apologies for that. It should be in the email chain that you have been receiving from me. So while you're working, I will find that link and put it in the chat. And all you'll have to do is click on the link and join WhatsApp. If you haven't joined WhatsApp yet, that email also has some instructions on how to join WhatsApp. Everyone has a Google account. That's wonderful because, as I'm sure you already know, Google has a lot of wonderful tools that are free for online instruction. Now, before we go on to our interactive activity, right now I've shared this feature of Zoom. And I know that not everyone has access to the full version of Zoom, which typically a university, if they're able to, will provide for professors. And if you're using the free account, so you can use Zoom yourself without an account from your university, but the free version will only let you host meetings for a couple of minutes. Excuse me, it's allergy season here. So I'm not sure you can use the polling feature if you're using the free Zoom. So what we're going to do right now is a way to poll people without the polling feature. Oh, let's see, I'm seeing, please send the invitation to WhatsApp to our phone number. Interesting. I can send the WhatsApp invitation to your phone numbers, but not until after, not until later this afternoon, because I'll have to go through and find your phone numbers. But we'll talk more about WhatsApp at the end of the workshop. You can also contact me via email as well. All right, so going through our polling options, I'm going to stop sharing this digital poll and stop sharing. I'm going to ask everyone, if you are able, to please turn your camera on, and we're going to do an interactive poll. Okay, so if you could all turn on your cameras. If you're unable to, that's okay, but you won't be able to participate in our activity. And for those who are unfamiliar with Zoom, you can mute yourself. That should be in the bottom left corner. There should be a microphone where you can press mute. And typically, if you're not speaking, it's a good idea to mute yourself, because if you have a dog or a child or a loud neighbor in the background, it can make everyone's Zoom very difficult to hear. So thank you all already so much for muting yourselves. And of course, we're all in different places. And if you can't turn your video on, that's all right. But for those who can, what we're going to do is a live action poll. So does anyone have near you, do you have sticky notes, these things? If you don't have them, it's okay. You can use your hand. But what I'm going to do is use a sticky note, because I like the color that it gives over my camera. See, instead of just being black, well, except it fell down, instead of just being black, it kind of creates a nice gallery. So if you have a lot of students who are using their sticky note to cover their camera, and they're using different colors, they might be blue and yellow and green, it creates a very lovely visual effect. I am going to ask you some questions, and if the answer for you, first of all, I'm so sorry. It's 7 o'clock in the morning here for me. I know it's 3 p.m. for you, but for me it's 7 a.m. So my mind is adjusting to being awake and leading workshops at this time of day. So I apologize if I seem scattered. Also, for those of you who have never used Zoom, you're going to want to be in the gallery mode for this. And to use that, you'll press View. It should be in the upper right-hand corner, and you can switch between gallery and speaker. If you use speaker, you'll just see the person who's speaking, which is useful, if someone is talking on and on like me. But for this game, you want to be able to see as many people as you can, so you're going to press gallery. Is anyone having troubles? You can type into the chat if you're having trouble seeing the gallery view. No? Wonderful. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question, and if your answer is yes, you will remain visible to the camera. And if your answer is no, you're going to cover your camera with your hand or with your sticky note. And that way we'll get a quick visual idea of who's saying yes and no to these activities. Okay? All right, so let's begin with the first questions that we saw on our Zoom poll. Number one, have you used Zoom before? Have you used Zoom before? So you're gonna remain visible. And if you say no, I haven't, you're gonna cover, So I see just a few people who have never used Zoom. All right, nice. Next, are you currently in New York City? Yes, yep, I should see everybody covering their camera, because I think that none of us are in New York City. So if you're not in New York City, you want to cover the camera. Thank you, very nice. All right, are you in Baghdad right now? Are you in Baghdad? Very nice. Thank you. Are you in the Kurdistan region right now? Okay, great. Thank you. Do you teach at a university? Do you teach at a university? So interesting. Okay, thank you. And I think that's probably it for now, but see how we can get really quick visual responses from our students about yes, no questions, even if you don't have the polling option, just by covering the camera and uncovering the camera. All right, we're gonna do something a little more interactive right now. And I just have to, I won't be able to see you for a second. Because I have to minimize my screen. So there are some questions. I see those and thank you for asking them. I'm going to answer all of those at the end of today's workshop. We'll talk about the time, the recordings, which yes, I am recording, and how to access the recordings as well. So first, I'm going to share my screen with you one more time. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Great. So these were our objectives. What we're going to do now is an interactive brainstorm. And you're going to work collaboratively together, which is, of course, a hallmark of communicative approaches to language teaching is group work and communication. It's right in the name of the language teaching methodology, right? So how do you do that online? There are a couple of different strategies. We're going to use the Google function Jamboard, and Jamboard is a part of your Google Suite, just like Google Docs, Google Sheets, or Google Forms. And it will allow people to collaboratively create a visual brainstorm, either like together or alone. And I'll explain that in just a second. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I am going to put you into groups of 5 or 6. I don't remember. You'll be in a group of 5 or 6. And I'm going to ask you to talk together about what are some of the affordances of teaching TESOL online, what are some of the challenges, and what are some specific tools you've used online that went well. Using Jamboard, we will engage in interactive discussion around these questions. And as you're working together, I would like you to consider how might you adapt this activity to your own teaching context. So before I'm going to stop sharing very quickly. Before we start, I am going to show you an example Jamboard that I did just the other day when I delivered a guest lecture on teaching second language literacy to adults. So I'm just pulling up that Jamboard for you, and I'll give a brief example of how it works. First of all, have you used Jamboard before? If the answer is no, cover up your screen. Okay. All right, interesting. I see 1 or 2 people who haven't, who seem to have used it, which great. All right, so here's how it works. This is a free tool, and I will provide instructions on how to do it, both right now and in our course that I've built online. Jamboard is basically like a poster. It's like having a poster in your classroom or having a whiteboard where different people can take turns or even at the same time, they can collaborate. So this is an example from the other night. What sorts of schools? This is not a very good example. Let's go to the next page. What are some characteristics of adult second language learners? So this was a question that I asked the master's students in our TESOL program. And together, they created this Jamboard. Now, you can write in the Jamboard. If you see my cursor over here, you can write by pressing this pen. I'll use white. You can select the color. And the problem is it's kind of hard to write for me by dragging a pen around a page. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to erase what I've just done. One of the downsides of doing this on Jamboard is you can accidentally or intentionally erase other people's work. But I think that's a small downside. All right, what you see here, these, so if I want to touch the board again, I'm going to come here, I'm going to press this arrow, and it is going to allow me to select things. I can select these notes and move them around. And in fact, the students I was working with the other night did move these around. Each person contributed their own idea as to this, the answer to this prompt. And then together, the students tried to group similar ideas together. So you can move the notes, you can edit them. For instance, you can change their color. I could say, okay, if you see notes that are all connected to this idea of motivation, turn them all green. And then the other nice feature is for some reason, all of the students in the course that I conducted the other night were using sticky notes. So you add a new sticky note. By clicking here, selecting the color you want your note to be, and then typing your note, and then pressing save. Then you can move your note wherever you would like it to go. But that's not the only way to write on our Jamboard. You can also type. This is the option that I prefer. I think it's easier for me personally. And you type by pressing the T, which will insert a text box. After you press the T, drag it to where you would like your text to be, and you can type. Hi all, but this is kind of difficult to see. So I'm going to change the color of what I have typed to white by clicking up here. I could change it to green. I think white is easiest to see. Now you can move this by clicking on it. Great. And the last thing you can do here is you can add images. This is probably not a feature that we will use right now, but I'm from Boston, so I'll share with you what Boston looks like. There we go. There's a picture of Boston, and we can move it around. Now, this is collaborative. So if I put Boston in here and you decide you don't want it there, you can delete it and you can move it around. So if you're using this with students, sometimes you have to talk a little bit about etiquette of, is it okay to move other people's things? But I find usually when working with adults, everyone is quite respectful most of the time about other people's contributions. So this is how we use Jamboard. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see your chat. How to prepare a Jamboard, I will talk about that tomorrow. We'll do some, well, actually, I'll just show you right now. It's an important question. I'm going to share my screen again. If you, no, don't share that. Yes. All right. If you go to your Google account, you have this image in the top right. This is where you can access all of Google's free features. If you scroll down, you have access to things I know some people in their survey said they've already used, like docs, sheets, slides, and classroom and Hangout. Jamboard is here. So you just go to your Google account, click these dots, scroll down to find Jamboard. And this general location is where you'll find almost all free apps for e-learning by Google. So you can click here. And if you want to create a new Jamboard, you click the plus. I like to set the background just because I think white hurts my eyes if I look at the computer all day long. So I set it to a darker color. I provide it with a title. So I inserted a text box, and now I'm moving the text box so it may not be centered, but it looks centered enough to me. And I'm making sure it's visible. If I have multiple prompts, I'll navigate to the right. I'll set the background again, although you don't have to if you like white. I will go to the text box. I will type a new title. It's remembered that I like to write in white, so that's convenient. This looks a little off center. I'm going to move it. And I can create as many Jamboards as I'd like. And then I and my students can navigate through them by pressing back and forward. I'm going to stop sharing because I can't see your chats if I'm sharing my screen. Are there any questions about using the Jamboard before we go on to this activity that I would like us to do together? Okay, perfect. If you're familiar with Google, it's pretty easy to use. And if you're not familiar with Google, it's going to take a small learning curve, but I think after you've gotten the hang of it, you'll find it useful and pretty easy. One of the nice things about using Google products to teach English is, of course, you are giving a huge tech company, a lot of customers, so I'm sorry about that, but you are also using a platform that a lot of students are already familiar with. So many people already use Google. So using their software, it reduces the learning curve for your students. So let's see. We're just going to quickly revisit the instructions. Okay. Whoops. I think you can see an awful lot of my screen right now, but that's okay with me. I'm going to share a Jamboard with you. I am going to ask you to go into breakout groups. So these are Zoom groups, which I will randomly assign you. There will be about 5 people per group. And what I would like you to do is use the Jamboard that I will share with you in a second. And don't spend all of your time just learning how to use Jamboard, but also please talk with the other people in your small group so that you can really share ideas about what's good about teaching online, what's not going well about teaching online, and also any specific tools you use that you think everyone here could benefit from knowing about. Now, this activity is pretty important for me personally, because this is a way for me to get to know you and get to know your context. I'm going to let you work in the Jamboard for about 20 minutes. Now, if you haven't been in a breakout group in Zoom before, you may not know that you can't contact your host. So right now I see you writing messages to me in the chat. I will be able to message you, but you won't be able to message me once you're in the breakout room. So if you have questions or any technical issues, please use WhatsApp to contact me. I know that a couple of you don't yet have access to the group, and I will work on finding the link so I can give it to you when you come back. You can also reach me by email, and I bet that of the 5 people in your group, judging by our poll numbers, someone in your group can probably WhatsApp me if there's an issue. Are there any questions about what I would like you to do for this activity?
Oh, yes, please.
Yes.
How are we going to be in contact with the jam board? Sorry.
Oh, great question.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in the chat. So if
All right.
if this is your first time on Zoom, to look at the chat. I know it's not your first time on Zoom, but I think it is a couple of people's first times on Zoom.
Yeah.
If you go to the bottom, you can press chat and you should be able to see all of the messages here. Is anyone having any issues seeing the chat? No, okay. Are there any other questions before we begin the activity? I know someone said, how do we see our Jamboard? Yes.
Well, please, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you said that you are going to divide us into groups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it just to be done just now, or the way that you are going to do it?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm going to use breakout rooms in Zoom. And that's an option where you can send people off into their own private Zoom within a larger Zoom meeting.
It will be just like rooms. It will be just like rooms.
It will be just like rooms. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So first I'm going to share the link here so that everyone can see it. I can see the Jamboard. Whoops. Let me just share. Copy link. Here's the link to the Jamboard. Please tell me if you have any trouble accessing it, because I'm going to make sure everyone is in the Jamboard before I send you to your groups.
Sorry, but there is no link in the chat.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me that. In Zoom, if someone sends you a private message and you respond to them, it creates a little private place.
I am the only one who got it, I guess. Yeah.
Now you should all be able to see the chat.
I think the link is coming right now.
Yeah.
In the chat, yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is anybody else, is everybody okay with the link?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Great. I'm just going to wait a little bit to make sure that everybody gets in. Once you're in, why don't you, well, actually, no, don't play with the Jamboard yet. We'll wait until you get into groups with that. Has anyone had any problems accessing the Jamboard? If you're on your phone, it might be a little bit more challenging, and we can talk about that more tomorrow. But because you'll be in a group, even if you can't use the Jamboard, the Jamboard is just a tool like a whiteboard. So what I really want you to do is talk together once you get into your group, discuss, and then add things to the Jamboard as they come up into your discussion. I will give you more time to play with Jamboard and how do you use this and how could you use this in your own online context a little bit later. Are there any questions before I send you off into your groups?
No.
Wonderful.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I cannot access the Jamboard. It says invalid dynamic link. So I'm accessing it through my phone.
Okay. Is it working? Can you get it through the phone?
I'll try. That's the problem. I think I saw the link. I clicked on the link, but it opens Chrome, Google Chrome, and then it wants me to install the Jamboard as an application. So I think it will take some time.
Oh, maybe because you're in on your phone now. Yeah, if you're using it on
Yeah.
a phone, it will ask you to install. So that's okay because you'll be in a group. You can watch
Mhm.
your group members contribute to the Jamboard for now. And I think if you have access
Okay.
to a computer or a tablet, then you can download it in the future. It shouldn't take up too much space, but I can find out how much space and how long. Like if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, it might eat a lot of your data, but you can also try downloading it if you want, but you should be able to.
I will. Thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Any other questions?
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you in your groups where you'll stay for about 20 minutes, and please WhatsApp me if any issues come up as you're discussing.
Well, excuse me. I have
Yes.
a problem with getting into the jump.
Getting into the Jamboard?
Yes, I have problem. I can't get in.
Are you on a telephone?
Yes. Or may I try from the laptop?
I think it will be easier to get in from a laptop or a tablet, yes. Because if you're on a telephone, it may ask you to, it may ask you to download an application. So if you can't download it for now, it's okay. You can still participate in the discussion, and then your group members will just be the ones to add to the Jamboard. And for when we come back, you'll be able to see it in action. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to change this to everyone in meeting. Make sure. So yeah, if you don't have access to the Jamboard, it's okay. You can still participate in the discussion for now. And when we come back, you'll be able to see it. And we will practice more with Jamboards later. All right. Did everyone see the invitation to join their breakout room? It should have popped up to say, join breakout room. No?
No.
It does not exist. It does not exist.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it exists, but still not like.
All right, hold on 1 second. I think because we haven't Zoomed together, it didn't save the rooms I assigned you to last night. So it's asking me to reassign you again. And that will just take a second. Okay, 10 of you should have invitations now. When the invitation pops up, you can accept it and it will take you away to the other room. Oops. Okay, so by now everyone should have had access to the room. And you can click the invitation to accept. Yeah. Okay, so I see Hiro, Nouri, Mohammed Saeed, Wafa Al-Tamimi, and Inas have not yet joined their room. Are you all on telephones? Can you unmute yourselves? Great. Okay. Aha. Mr. Saeed. All right.
I have a problem.
Sure. Tell me about it.
I was in room 3 with 3 others, and then they say the host moved you to room 6, and I was only there, the only person. There was no one to chat with.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's let's see, you're Maria Mohammed?
Yes.
Okay, I see Mohammed Saeed has joined your group. Yeah.
Which is so
Group 6. I'm so sorry. I think I must have pressed your name twice while I was assigning these. I had pre-assigned these last night, but I don't think I forgot to link them to your email. So
okay.
Yeah, so Mohammed is in room 6. So
Okay, so I can join there. Okay.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wafa, can you unmute yourself and talk to me, Wafa Al-Tamimi? Okay.
Yes, hi.
Hi. Are you in a group?
Seems like not yet.
Oh, that's because I forgot to assign you. Okay. Did you see the invitation?
No problem. Yes.
Great. Can you join group
Okay.
6?
Yes.
Thank you. And let's see, Mahmoud Rakan. Have you received your invitation? Can you unmute yourself? Hiro?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you should have received an invitation to join breakout room 5. Did you see the invitation?
Group 5, no. Join back room. You have assigned to break the room 5. Okay, join.
Great, thank you so much.
Hadi, what you are going to do?
Well, I believe, I don't know, I was just out of the room and I just signed out, like,
Yes, you signed up because time is finished.
yeah, so I believe the other participants need to sign in again. And I believe there is something, as I said, even I believe, dear Kathleen, yeah, she's back now. Let's just tell her, welcome back, dear Kathleen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a claim and there was 3 questions and we started our introductions. I believe you said we have kind of 20 minutes, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, but it was only 5 minutes. So,
Oh, no. That's
yeah,
okay. I keep the breakout room open for you.
okay, so we will be back again into the breakout room.
Yeah, did it automatically put you back here?
I just out of the meeting, it just like happened.
That's strange.
Yeah, so I had to log in again into the passcode again, the meeting ID and so on.
Oh, I think you got kicked out of the meeting. All right, let's see.
Even the same happened to Thana.
Thana and Hadi. All right, I'm going to put you back in the breakout
I believe
room.
it was room number 1. Room number 1.
Thank you. Hadi, do you know which, Thana, do you know which one you were in?
I am with Hadi in the same room, but I don't know. Maybe it's room number 1, Hadi?
Yeah, it was number 1.
Great.
Yes, doctor, it's room number 1.
This
Thank
is
you, dear
so
Kathleen.
strange because it's telling me, move to, I'm going to, it says that you are still in breakout room 1, Thana. And Hadi, did your invitation pop up?
Yeah, it pop up, but just wait a second, dear Kathleen. I believe the others may have the same issue because now I see Mr. Cowes again in the meeting, in the general room. So I believe the others, all the others, they had only 5 minutes.
Uh-oh.
It might be in the setting that you haven't changed like it to from 5 to 20 minutes.
Yes, I think you're right.
So let's just wait for the others to return back, and so then we shall go back to their rooms because they are out of the meeting, and I believe they are attempting to return back to the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
They are coming back.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do? Fadak, what room were you in? Let me look at my WhatsApp messages. Okay, I think that because I selected the don't end meeting, I think you can join your group now.
I'll return back to room number 1 then.
Yeah, you can return back to room number 1. And then
okay, now I'll go back, and from my side, bye for now. Okay, later on we'll see each other. Yeah.
Thank you for your help. Thana.
Yes, I want to go back to room number 1, but it takes me to room number 3. I don't know that.
Thank you for your patience. So the strange thing is, to me, it says that you are in room number 1. So why don't you and I can just speak together for about 5 minutes. We'll leave you out of the groups. So
Yes,
can you see the Jamboard?
Jamboards? Yes, doctor, I already opened it.
Great.
But it's now disappeared. Yes, this is my Jamboard.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about some challenges that you've faced moving to online instruction.
A lot of challenges we face in teaching students, especially in Iraq. I'm teaching students of medicine. They are very professional students and very clever, smart. Most challenges we face is about technology, losing internet sometimes, the electricity, which come and go from time to time. Most of them are challenges about technology. Sometimes the time of my lecture is 3 hours, 1 hour for theoretical and 2 hours practical. I love my students very much. I try to give them time to rest, or I ask them about their lives, where they live, the challenges they face, if they want to do something else beside reading and writing. Sometimes the lecture is very boring if I didn't talk to them. So I try my best with them. And I think till now, everything is nice. Everything is nice, but we still find new challenges. I feel that we start the stairs from up, not down. Because of the pandemic, they told us that we should use e-learning, and we don't know anything about e-learning. In the beginning, it's very difficult, but now, no, I'm thinking that everything is fine, and we try to learn. We still learn.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that things are going okay, and I know that it was a challenge. I've actually put together some articles from Iraq. Most of the articles about online education in the pandemic in Iraq are actually out of the medical sector, so those might be of interest to you.
Oh, well, we are back here. All right.
Yes, hello, welcome.
Hello. Thank you. I tried my best to organize these notes and stickers.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So
it was an awesome experience. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry for our technical difficulties. I forgot to set the breakout room time. So don't
That's
forget
okay.
to do that if you're using breakout rooms.
This is technology. This is the challenge.
So once more, hello everyone. The 30 participants, 30 colleagues.
Yes. I think we're all back. Let me put the WhatsApp group
really
down here. Sorry, I went
beautiful.
to use the restroom and I was looking at the WhatsApp group. So, how to use breakout rooms? That's a big question. It looks like I need a refresher on that, huh? I see that question in our chat. I'm gonna write it down. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience with our technical issues. That is always a part of online learning and teaching. In the chat, I have shared the instructions of how to join our WhatsApp group. And we'll talk more about the WhatsApp group tomorrow. So what I'd like to do now is look at our Jamboard with everybody. But first, did anyone have any issues that they would like to share while you were working in the breakout room? You can unmute yourself and tell me.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Some of my room members, breakout room members, they were using phones, so they couldn't see the Jamboard, but we tried to manage it.
Thank you. So did you take on the role of facilitator and use the Jamboard for them?
Yes, I did. I did, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did anyone else have any issues in the breakout room groups using the Jamboard?
Actually, Kathleen, I switched to the laptop and still I cannot receive the link for the Jamboard.
Because if you sign back in with another account, you can't see the previous chats. Yes. That would be the reason for that. So that's one of the reasons why it's nice to have a group outside of your Google Classroom or your Zoom, like our WhatsApp group or email, but I really suggest choosing just one platform where you're going to communicate with your students, because if you are assigning them to groups, they can't text you via Zoom once they're in the group. So when we work together, message me on WhatsApp about any issues that you're having, and I'll get back to you. So I can send you the new link through WhatsApp. I, as the facilitator, can broadcast a message. So if I know that you've signed out and signed in on another device, but now you're missing a link, I can type a message to everyone where I'll share the link to access the Jamboard. Thank you. I'm sorry about all of the troubles you had joining the groups. Did anyone have any other issues or concerns that they wanted to share? No. Okay, so with this issue of using phones, I'll do a little bit more research on that tonight and we can talk more about it tomorrow. But I believe if you're going to ask your students to use a Jamboard together, that you can ask them to download the app version of Jamboards prior to your class meeting, and that should make things go quite a bit easier. Another solution, just like I think Hadi maybe did, is if he had access to Jamboard but nobody else in the group did, then he can enter the group's responses.
By the way, I just like a kind of, for example, suggestion, anyone in this group, anyone like the other attendees and the teachers, if they have any problem regarding the Google Classroom services or the Google services, they can contact me like outside hours of this seminar, like at night or any other hours. I can be a helping hand for them, okay? Just kind of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hadi. Thank you, Hadi.
Hadi, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you in educational technology?
No, I am Hadi, a university lecturer at Rapari University, Kurdistan region. I teach English, specifically my specialist is in linguistics, but I am, as I usually am, a tech savvy person. So even prior to COVID-19, I trained myself the Google services. Even besides Google services, I have created some Canvas courses. I don't know whether anyone of you have heard about Canvas. So I created, for example, a course in reading comprehension for my students. Now, at this time, they are enrolling in the course. They're having activities, assignments, discussion, and so on. So I have another one in ELT for my 4th grade students that they are working on it right now. And regarding the Google Classroom services, I have used all of them, or the G Suite services, almost all of them. Yeah, so I usually use it in like my daily teachings. online quizzes, Google Forms, Google Docs, Sheets, like all of these stuff. So anyone have any concern, any problem in GSoup service, can contact me later on and I can help.
That is a very kind offer. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you, and we are going to look at our Jamboard. So. All right. Okay, so you can jump in here and just unmute yourself and speak and tell me what kinds of themes do we see across these challenges? What themes do we see?
I think the main one is the disconnection from the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Online literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of experience.
For the teachers or the students?
For students, mostly.
Face-to-face interaction.
And institution.
Face-to-face interaction and Hiro, did you say discussion?
Lack of motivation from the students and the teachers, both of them.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Bad internet.
Mm-hmm.
Huge number of students in class.
Yes, the problem of class size problem.
Mm.
A huge problem that apparently is unsolved.
Great. All right.
Infrastructure and lack of experience from both students and teachers.
And how about this one here? Students are sometimes multitasking and not responding to the lecture. Has that happened to many people?
Mostly, every time.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. In the large classes.
Yeah.
Because they're not using their cameras and microphones, and even if you ask them, they will open it for a short time, and then they are off the lecture and not responding to the lecture. That's the really problem that I personally face.
Getting students to respond.
I think it's cultural issues, especially for the female learners.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Students lack knowledge to the use online platforms.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, the cultural issues, I'm not sure who contributed that thought, but I'm very interested in hearing a little more about that.
Actually, it was me, but I have a lot of noise here because I'm sitting with my baby. So if there is any noise, so please excuse me. Okay, in Iraq, we are kind of, how can I say it, a society that's full with a lot of old traditions. Okay, so the females cannot have full access for internet, and it's not an easy task for them to join a class with males, and it's not a good thing, sorry, to open camera, okay, or even to talk with them.
That's interesting. So some people are reluctant to turn on their cameras. Okay, thank you.
Sometimes I using this excuse just to run away from that.
Well,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
the problem of
Because
mindset.
we
I
are
believe.
talking
Mindset,
about
sorry.
a new generation. They are not facing this problem.
Yeah, I believe
We're
there's not a
talking
problem.
about yes.
It might be on Corona.
Well, if you look at the reality of classes, I personally faced a lot of problems for asking my students to open their cameras. A lot of female students, emailed me, "Sir, we cannot open our camera while we are at home." So I guess it's a real problem. It's not just an excuse to run away from classes.
Well, it's not only opening a camera, it's sometimes opening the mic to speak. That is
Yes,
also
they do.
sometimes.
They do open their mic and they share. They
But sometimes
we're
even
talking
the
about-
mic, they don't open it. You know, you can believe that or
Yeah,
not.
it happens.
And not only the mic, even not having their. Yeah, I mean, they say that their parents are. They are not allowed by their parents to even put their photo.
There's no
Their photo.
Even
I
the
mean,
picture of photo, it is not
yes,
acceptable.
That's
interesting. So this may also be, you know, different in different regions of Iraq. I'm sure there's a lot of diversity within the same country.
There's one point I'd like to share. There's one more point. Where I live, it's a small town called Zakhov. It is just the far north of Iraq or the Kurdistan region. We have like hundreds of thousands of IDPs people. They're living in, you know, in camps, in tents. So a lot of our students at the University of Zakhov are from other places who are living right now in camps, in refugee camps. So for example, imagine a family of 12 members living in one tent. Where can they go to sit down and open the mic or open the, let's say, camera and join the class? So that's one of the difficulties that most teachers at the University of Zagreb face this year.
Cases are exclusive. Yes, yes.
And even maybe they don't have smartphone or laptop
At all, yeah.
in order to use it.
Even if they do, they still have difficulties to join classes.
So we are dealing with problems of the community.
Some of them maybe not only they don't have the
But not
privacy.
all of them.
Some of the
No,
students belongs to families which are conservative habits or conservative beliefs. So they find that it's not allowed for girls, for instance, to be online with open camera or open microphone. We are talking about different levels of thinking inside our society.
Interesting, interesting. So we see a lot of, even within this same program with only 30 teachers in the same country, we have a huge amount of diversity in the contexts in which you're teaching and the learners that you're working with. That's really very informative for me. Thank you for sharing that with me. Let's move on for now to the affordances, or we mostly stayed on the first slide. Is this, excuse me, is this question answer is a beautiful interaction? Is this the only benefit of online instruction that you've noticed? What other benefits have you noticed? If you can access the Jamboard, just take 2 minutes and add some thoughts to this slide. So we'll take 2 minutes and you can individually add to the slide.
Stop sharing here.
Do you still have access to the Jamboard?
It's not clear.
The question is not.
Yes, if you don't mind, try to minimize the size of the screen so we can read the questions over it.
Okay, so I've stopped sharing, and if you return to, I'm going to drop the link here.
The problem with the Jamboard posters, the second poster was blank, so we thought it's just, you know, it's done there.
Yes, I think somebody may have it may have been me. Somebody, I think, accidentally added an extra Jamboard in there. Yeah, so that's fine. That's not a problem. Well, it's a minor problem, but if you can take 2 minutes and add some thoughts here to the benefits of online TESOL instruction. Whoops, sorry. Message everyone. I've included the link to our Jamboard again.
Is it a blank page, blank sheet?
No, navigate to page 3. Page 2 is a blank. Someone deleted our blank pages. Thank you so much. So We've got now on page 2, benefits of online TESOL instruction. I'll share my screen and show you how to navigate.
Beautiful. We've got it.
Awesome. So we've got, this is 1. Thank you. I imagine maybe it was Hadi. Navigate to page 2. And then we'll actually save page 3 for tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, I'm gonna give everyone an opportunity to introduce yourselves to the whole group as well. Because right now you've spent, you know, a couple of minutes with 5 people. So tomorrow we'll begin with your introductions to everyone. Number 2.
Okay, right.
Okay, let's take a minute and see if we can group these ideas together. So I'm gonna move it's comfortable over here by it's safe. New experiences. Move this up here. All right. Thank you so much for contributing to this page. Are there any controversial entries here? Like, I know there were some differences of opinion on the first slide of our Jamboard. On this slide of our Jamboard, does anyone have any kind of different experiences or differences of opinion? We have, it can be recorded and the students can watch.
Oh, yes. Here, someone has written interact between students and teachers, where, well, for me, it's less interactive than classes in campus. So there's not a benefit.
And Maria, what are some things that you do interactively in person that you find challenging to do online?
Well, to have tasks, I'm teaching reading and writing, and reading and writing really needs to see students in campus in person, because they need to work with each other. But in online classes, it's really hard to have them work together or collaborate with one another. So the interaction, that's having students all interact in the class and with one another, is really a big problem for me. It's hardly to get them interacted.
Okay, I'm just taking notes. Lovely. And who contributed that it is safe?
It's me also.
Oh, can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, because because of the coronavirus, some people are, or all of us were horrified to go out and have lectures in campus. So it's safe to stay at home and your own area, your own zone, and then you're safe from the virus. In short.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's flexible. Recordings, move these together. Learning more about digital tools, having new experiences, Jamboard. I'm going to put this question and answer by the idea that it can be interactive. Wonderful. Okay. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add? I'm going to stop sharing my screen about any benefits you've seen of TESOL instruction online. Hadi, I know you feel pretty comfortable with this. What do you like about it?
Starting from the last, I believe the last one who, this teacher who said, I face difficulty in groups in, I believe it was in reading and writing. So just a very simple trick is the one that we used here. If you use Zoom and if you break the students out to their rooms, they can simply work together and write down their notes. And this is a kind of collaborative working and group work and pair work. So you can get benefit from Zoom and their rooms. This is one. Some others, I believe, said that it is not as interactive as on-campus classes. And students, for example, specifically in the previous slide, in the previous Jamboard, it was about the challenges. The students, they are, for example, out of the class, out of the meeting, they mute their mics, they turn off their cameras. So you can, for example, if you are teaching them online, not electronically, because online is face-to-face. So you can change your method of teaching, include less amount of, for example, text. And every now and then, every 2 minutes, you can just create a poll. You can get the students' responses about something. At that time, even the students themselves, they don't let themselves to be out of the meeting. They don't turn off the cameras. They don't, they will concentrate more if it is compared to the previous lessons. So if you just every now and then ask a question, create a poll, at that time, even the students will be more, for example, conscious regarding the lessons. I just wanted to add these 2 points. Sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to have your
one
contribution.
point I'd like to, to add one comment on Mr. Hadi's point. Making breakout rooms and making polls requires premium access to Zoom. You know that, and Kathleen mentioned this at the beginning of our Zoom meeting. I think not all the teachers have this access, so I guess it's a little bit problematic if you think about it.
Yeah,
of course. Okay, I'd like to comment on what have Mr. Hadi and Mr. Nurjan. I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly or not.
No, it's okay.
There's a certain problem that some of the lecturers may face. Some of the universities and colleges put restrictions to the brands and platforms that they consider it as official platforms. For instance, my university preferred to adopt the Moodle platform as the official platform for teaching. Besides this, if you have any kind of activities that required face-to-face interaction, you may use the FCC. Before this, we were using the big blue button on Moodle platform. Now, if I want to say that Zoom is a good program, they will say, no, it's not permitted for us to use it. We have official platforms and we have to restrict our lecturers and instructors to these platforms. So there are certain and technical problems we may face concerning the universities and colleges that we are working for.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good point. I noticed in your introductory surveys, some people do have access to all of the features of Zoom. Some people have access to Moodle or FCC, and other people weren't sure if their university provided them with any sort of official system like that. So we will look into ways to meet with students through Google Meet and Google Hangout, where you can also create smaller groups. It's not it doesn't have quite the same capabilities as Zoom has, but you can still, so I want to emphasize my area of expertise. I am not an expert in digital instruction. Where my expertise comes in is as an expert in communicative language teaching online. And of course, one of the hallmarks of communicative language teaching is interaction. So one of the things that we will explore across this series of workshops is what are the many different ways to interact online. And you can do that in breakout rooms like the ones we just used, but you can also do that through Google Docs, where people can keep their cameras off. And as I also said before, I'm not an expert in your context, right? So you are the expert in your particular teaching context, and each of you has a unique context of your own as well. So it will be up to us together to help one another adapt to the particular, affordances and restrictions of our own space. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to share kind of to wrap up this discussion before we move on towards the end of the meeting?
Well,
actually, I had a problem with assigning. We still have the teachers at our center, especially for writing. We used to give them the homework, like the classwork, not the homework, inside the class, and they used to write last year before the pandemic. But since then, we have to assign them through Google Classroom, and they usually copy and paste. Not all of them, of course, but most of them, I can say. So I don't know. There's not an advanced tool or a free tool to control that plagiarism. And our system, we need to give them so many assignments in order to collect 50 marks for the half of the semester, and then the final exam is another 50 marks. So it's a bit unfair between the students if we give them the full mark on the copy and paste assignments. That was the major problem for me, actually.
So just so I understand clearly, you're required to give your students 50 assignments, and the issue you're having is in Google Classroom that people are copying and pasting other people's responses?
Of course, yes. Even they can. I've heard my students say we gave it to someone who wrote for us, or some of them I could find the link and send back the link to them that I said you copied that information from that link. And he said, oh, teacher, I didn't have time. So I had only that access. That was all.
Yes, I agree with Ms. Hazan. The same problem that we have faces, actually.
Oh, interesting. So there are actually some free, well, hold on. I don't know if they're free. I'm going to have to research whether these are free platforms, but there are plagiarism detection services out there. So the universities that I work for are the University of Georgia in the US and the University of Massachusetts in the US. And before students' major assignments are graded, they're entered into a plagiarism detective software. So I'm going to do some research to find out if that's free to use. And then if it is, I'll share that with you. But thank you for telling me about that. That's a very interesting issue.
Well, if you don't mind, I may add something for this. It's related to the learner's seriousness to do something. You see now, with online learning, you see some students like cheating, the word cheating. So they wouldn't like just to do something. This is the idea. So students do not take this seriously. This is the idea. They wouldn't like to do what is required to do. This is the idea. I mean, when they have a course, for example, as it is mentioned here, writing, they wouldn't like just to practice. They wouldn't like just to get this skill. They want just to pass. This is the idea. They wouldn't like just to train. They wouldn't like to learn. They want just to pass and to go to other stage, and that's it. Yeah.
So I have definitely been in teaching contexts that were like that as well, but then I've been in a lot of contexts where the students were really excited and engaged to be there. So learner investment and engagement is a really complex question. And I wonder the connection between digital learning, because perhaps investment, if people have kind of a what we call neoliberal orientation towards education, where they think, I need my A, I need my perfect score on my transcript so that I can get a good job, so that I can pass my classes. I'm not sure that particular issue is uniquely related to transitioning to online learning, but I am definitely open to exploring how we can motivate students and get them invested in a more broad understanding of what it is to have the privilege to access higher education, even online. And that said, we only have 5 minutes left. Thank you all so much for contributing today to this rich discussion. And to wrap up, I'm going to address the question of times. So next week is daylight savings time in the US where I am based, and it is not daylight savings time in Iraq where you are based. So what that means for us, I think, is that I just have to remember that the time changes, which I'm very nervous about, but I have it in my calendar. So right now we have an 8-hour time difference. Next week, we'll have a 7-hour time difference. If we keep the lectures or workshops at 3 p.m. your time, that's 8 a.m. my time. I have received a couple of emails from people saying that they would prefer both Friday and Saturday workshops to be held at 3 p.m. because of other obligations that you have. And I'm definitely open to that. So does 3 p.m. your time, 8 a.m. my time, work for everyone in the workshop?
Sorry, Catherine. For me, I'm from Kurdistan. We have Nowruz, and I think me and one of the colleague, we are no two, because one of them is from Raparin University, I think, and the other one I don't know. It was in my group. We have a celebration of Nowruz, so we will be busy with this celebration. So
the same here.
Yeah, I think we have. Do you agree with me or not?
I'm from Kurdistan too, but I don't think this problem. Don't you think so?
Why not?
Yeah,
I think you are are you single or married?
Well,
Because we
I'm a
have to be
problem
with
ask
our
here.
family. Yeah, so we have to be with our family. It is the only day that we have to be with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you have a family, like an important cultural celebration, you should definitely prioritize that.
Yes.
So I'm going to be recording all of these meetings. And tomorrow when we meet together, first of all, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves to the group individually so that we can get an idea of who is here.
Could do that today.
I forgot to do that today. I'm so sorry. I have it in my agenda and I just skipped right over it to go to the group brainstorm. So tomorrow morning, first thing, you are going to introduce yourselves and your teaching contexts. And then I'll show you what we have available in the course that I've created for us and where you can access the recordings. So even if you're not able to attend in person, you will be able to view these at your own time. Does anyone else have any issues with 3 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays?
Yes, in fact. So is this time fixed and it cannot be postponed a little bit later in the afternoon, in the evening? Or is it?
So this is a good question. I had hoped to have the Saturday ones a little bit later, but I know that it conflicts with some other people's schedules. So I think what we'll add to the agenda tomorrow is a survey about who is available when. So let's say this, for tomorrow, we'll meet at the same time, 3 p.m. I will send you a Zoom link this afternoon, my time, which will be late at night, your time. So you'll have it in the morning. And you'll access the Zoom link 3 p.m. tomorrow, and I'll create a survey or a doodle poll with times for everyone. Please do join the WhatsApp group if you haven't already. If you're having trouble joining it, you can send me an email. And we are out of time for now. Normally, I would be able to stay and chat informally with you, but I want to respect your time. And also, I have another meeting to go to soon. So tomorrow, I'm happy to provide a little bit of extra time to informally chat after our workshop. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to work with you and to learn
Thank
with
you,
you all.
Kathleen, and thank you to all
Thank you
colleagues.
so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see
Bye.
you tomorrow.
See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
See you.